It is the Riot Podcast. It's a fine and dandy Monday, August 15th. Hello, Nikki.
Hello.
Hello, Isaiah.
Hi there.
I was going to ask, Isaiah, did you hear my story of how my day started?
I heard that there was a little accident involved, huh?
There was
You almost got a free car.
I know. That sounds like a pretty awesome deal.
It was a bit more than a fender bender.
Oh, a little damaged.
Yeah. I'm not sure that car was going to be drivable anytime soon. Do they always total the car if the airbag goes off?
I believe so, because there's no way. You know, like if you ever unpack something and it doesn't go back in the same.
Yeah.
I think most times, especially if it's like more than one airbag, it gets totaled. And if it's honking on its own, the car, like that's damaged.
That's too bad that it was not a bad car. It looked like it had a lot of service time left. If it just would have avoided crashes. Here's what happened. I didn't include this in the podcast. I'll just retell the story quickly. Driving into work this morning, like 4:30 a.m., and there's a car on the wrong side of the road.
There's fog out.
Headlights, yeah. I pull up.
Car's honking.
It's honking. I was like, what's going on here? The car's all smashed up. Some of the windows were down, like 3 out of the 4. I think the windows were down. So I don't know if there was multiple people in it or what. But I was ready to spring into action. You know, and this car was on the wrong side of a 4-lane road, 2 lanes going each way, and a median, and somehow it was on the complete. It was on all the way over, and it hit a utility pole. Nobody was in it, so that was pretty. I don't know what happened there. A series of things must have gone wrong.
Well, you were right to say, because even off air, talking like, it's probably they don't have insurance.
Yeah.
The car's stolen, or they were drinking or impaired. And so then they feel like in their impairment, even though there's a license plate tied to the car,
right?
They could figure it out unless it's stolen. They usually run.
Yeah. So, or maybe somebody out just joyriding with their parents' car.
Or they were like late to work and they just had to get to work. So they called an Uber. They're like, "There's nothing I can do now. I got to get there."
Yeah, that could have been it. But it is.
You get your car later.
It was a frightening situation to pull up to that, because I was expecting when I got out to look that there was going to be somebody in there all passed out or injured up, and fortunately everything, whatever else you want to say about it, at least they were whoever was in there was good enough to be able to walk away and get out of Dodge before the authorities showed up.
Well, you had a rush this morning, which means maybe tomorrow on your way to work, there'll be nothing and it'll be calm.
Yeah, it'll be an easy drive to work.
Odds are. Anything else that's worth mentioning?
We also talked about what's keeping people up at night. So for those of you that are losing sleep, you aren't the only ones that are worried about climate change. It's going to keep you up all night long. And all the other, there was like a flurry of a couple different things that people claimed were keeping them up at night that we just didn't really believe what was really keeping them up.
Well, I guess maybe because they were only giving you specifics instead of like personally, whatever you have going on, that's something and so like that'll keep you up at night if you're worrying about something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just me being narcissistic, but I have a hard time believing everybody else is so non-narcissistic. What's the opposite of narcissistic?
That's a good question. What would that be?
Whatever
the opposite of narcissistic? I don't know.
We're so narcissistic.
Yeah, right.
Clearly, that's the only one I know.
I have a hard time believing that all of these events that really don't affect you personally that's what's keeping you up at night. I think it has to be something that is going on in your own life.
Yeah.
And,
it'd be like, a friend had COVID, or I'm trying to think one for climate change, like the polar bears, because I desperately love bears.
My friends live in Florida. The beaches are disappearing.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or like they had to euthanize that whale.
Right.
The other day.
How am I going to sleep tonight? How am I going to sleep? I'm surprised another one that wasn't on there was like people's like work. Like I felt like that would one
sure.
like if you like it's like a Sunday night. You really don't want to go back to work tomorrow. I mean, I'm just describing my night last night. You really don't want to go back to work tomorrow, and you're laying there, and you're like, dang, I do not want to go to work tomorrow. That I could see. It's like a possible one, like that could keep you up late at night rather than some of these.
Yeah, I get that. I used to, not here, but I did, because now I'm just so tired, but I used to work jobs where I had to get up early, and I didn't like the job, and so I was so worried about going to the job that I would just not be able to sleep.
Aww.
Wasn't great.
Yeah, Hudson told me the story about how he used to cry every night before coming into radio. He could not get any sleep. He's like, I don't want to go to work tomorrow.
But then Isaiah showed up and
now
everything
it's all
changed.
Everything turned around.
I'll just excuse
He does
myself.
all the hard work for me.
Well, thank you guys for listening to the podcast today. We know you had other choices, so we're sorry that this is what you've accidentally clicked on. Or, yay, excited, and you'll enjoy it. Make sure you text and say hi at 877-2-RADIO-U. We would love to hear from you.
We'll catch you next time.
Have a good
Hey,
day.
guys.
Don't say we didn't warn you. This is the worst of the riot.
Strike me as a fan of the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Are we coming back with a new season?
You sure are. Now it's the UK, so it's a new series.
Yes.
And it's coming back. The 13th season is coming out later this year. Now, since you're a fan of the Great British Bake Off, you're probably familiar with Paul Hollywood.
Yeah.
What a great. That's not his real name, right? But
I don't think so, even though he's not in Hollywood, so it is kind of weird, but it fits him.
No, it's a perfect name. Like if whether his real name is Paul Hollywood, his parents did a great job. And if not, he did a great job picking a stage name because that is wonderful.
You know, that's actually a really good question. Paul John Hollywood is his full name. That actually
Really?
might be his name.
Wow, his parents, they nailed it.
He was born that way.
Paul Hollywood. So one of his trademarks, as I understand it, as someone who's never seen the show, is he says the word moist a lot.
He does.
Is that right?
He does.
Does that bother you?
No, not really.
No?
No, it's
You
not.
have any words that bother you?
No, and I mean for that show, I think they're just trying to make things happen at this point because it's been on for so long.
I guess so. But people, it's just one of those comfort shows, I feel. People just keep coming back to it, despite the fact that Paul Hollywood says moist so much. And in fact, we're now finding out that that's no accident.
Oh, he does on purpose?
It's not that he has a limited vocabulary or anything. It is he intentionally makes sure he says moist in every episode of the show. And that is because, and this is great, making me like Paul Hollywood even more. It's because someone once told him they didn't like that he says it. And
now he has
they
to?
find it inappropriate, and he's like, I'll show you.
Well-
I'm going to say it in every episode.
First off, that is the attitude we like the most.
Yeah, it's inspirational.
Second, I mean, there's only so many baking terms and things that you could say. So I guess moist works, but
It's
I like that
true.
he just has to.
It's true. I mean, if you try to start substituting the word moist for something else in, like when you're talking about cakes and stuff, what are you going to use? That cake looked really damp right there.
No, it's worse.
That is worse. Look, that cake looks really clammy.
Oh, don't give him any
It's clammy
ideas.
cake. It's a little Ooh, I like that. It's a steamy cake.
Oh.
A wet cake. See, moist is the only one that works. I'm looking up the other options. Obviously, you have to go with moist. And there's a lot of cakes and muffins and things that you would want to be moist being thrown around on that show. So he's got to. I mean, he's got to.
Well, I think it's great if you are Paul Hollywood's assistant and be like, hey, did I get it in this episode or not?
Yeah, right.
It's your job to make sure you
Do
got it
not
in.
cut it out. Do
Nope.
not edit the moist from this episode. I'm doing this for one person that drove me nuts a while ago.
Well, I bet someone on YouTube has a compilation of Paul Hollywood and the British Baking Show saying all that.
Do you have a rough count?
No,
How many
it would be
times he
nice
said
if someone did.
Yeah, that's got to be out there somewhere where it counts up all of the times he said moist. Well, no, it's good that you didn't tell me a word that you don't like.
Oh, I don't want to tell you because then I don't want you to just
I will pull
start
up Paul
using
Hollywood on you, and I'll use it in every episode.
it. Well, moist it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. You think I'm going to believe that? I'm going to keep saying a tough row to hoe is what I'm going to do.
Okay, first, that is uncomfortable. And second, how about we say the riot?
Well, yeah.
That one I just don't know about.
That makes everybody uncomfortable.
That's true.
It's Tiger Wine.
And we have to put it in more than once in an episode.
That is right. That's our vendetta against everyone.
This is Radio U's worst of the riot.
A list. This is from the Social Security Administration. A list of the most commonly changed names in the United States over the past, actually, this looks like it's from 2017 to recently.
So if you want to change your first name?
From the past 5 years. And oddly enough, the first two, like the top, so I had the top 10 names that have been changed and the top 10 names that are like the names you take on. And so the top two pair up. the most commonly changed name is Isaac. At least it seems to be Isaac, but it's ISSAC.
Yeah.
Which seems like a misspelling of Isaac, which makes sense that the most commonly adopted name is Isaac, spelled the normal way you would expect with two A's.
ISAAC.
Uh-huh.
Isaacs, I'm sorry. I never even noticed.
And then number 2, the most commonly changed name is Chol, which appears to be a misspelling of Chloe.
It's Chloe,
because the number 2 most adopted name on the list is Chloe.
You're right.
But then you go down the rest of the list, and it's the list of people's names that get changed, and it's like Aiden, Connor, Elliot, Michael, just names that aren't misspelled.
Sure. But people just don't want them anymore.
But for some reason, Isaac and Chloe are the 2 names that are so misspelled on birth certificates, I guess, and stuff like that, over all other names, that they're the clear top 2 names that people change at on their social security cards.
That must really bother someone if your name is so often misspelled that you'd be willing to go through. Like, I don't know if you guys know this. We don't like paperwork. I assume there's paperwork to changing a name.
Oh, yeah, right.
And you got to go in person.
Probably.
So it feels like
after COVID, maybe not.
That's a lot of work to change just because of the not misspelling, but the alternate spelling.
Yeah, and then so I guess you have to wonder, is it did your parents misspell it when they named you, or is everyone else misspelling it and you're finally just so tired of them misspelling the way that your parents named you that you're like, fine, I guess I'll just go along with the whole rest of the world. So those are the top 2, but like I went through the rest of the change names, but number 3, I like looking at the names that people are taking on. How is the 3rd most adopted name Sebastian?
Is it for the one guy?
What?
The actor guy? The Sebastian guy?
Since I don't even know who you're talking about, I'm going to say probably not.
The one guy. Don't you know?
The one Sebastian?
Yeah, the one.
I don't think it is.
Sebastian's, is it Stan? That guy.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Great actor. I don't think that so many people are changing their names to Sebastian because of Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, and the guy from,
when there's not a lot of other options, you'd be surprised what people would go with.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the ones on the list are fairly common: William, Olivia, Michael, Elijah, and Michael is the 6th most changed name, but also the 6th most adopted name. But that's spelled the same way. So it's not like people are spelling Michael with the E and the A switch, which I do all the time.
It evens out.
Yeah. I also like seeing some of the names that are like, names that are increasing in popularity. Just because some of them are just amazing. Like Ocean. Oh, isn't that, I can see why people are using that for their children.
Well, does anybody hate your name? And would you be willing to change your name?
I think it's easier than you think.
Probably.
It's just probably costs some money. And is it really worth it? A couple $100?
You just talked yourself out of it there.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.
But I actually have a survey here that has the answers for what is keeping people from sleeping. When you turn out the lights, you're lying in bed, you're staring up at the ceiling, and you just can't close your eyes and get a restful night's sleep.
What's causing the problems?
Yeah, because you're too busy worrying about stuff. For example, the top answer on the list, I got this, inflation.
Really?
41% of people say they stay up at night worrying about inflation. It keeps them from sleeping.
It's not TikTok or...
See, yeah,
I don't believe a word of this. These are such terrible answers. I think this is unreal.
So you think at nighttime when you're finally able to stay up, you're just you just want to stay up. That's the whole reason. I'm not worrying about things.
Yeah.
I worry about things the rest of the day.
This list is unreal of what people say they were staying. It's keeping them up at night. How can they sleep? I can't even imagine. The list is unreal. I can't wait to go for the rest of it.
Maybe this is what you say just to sound more adultish.
You sound very woke. Well, I know you care about everybody a lot, and you sound super professional. This is not what's keeping me up at night, unfortunately.
I wonder, looking at this list of 6 things that are keeping people up also, maybe that's just the only 6 options they gave in the survey.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Where it's inflation, COVID-19, gun violence, climate change, and the Russia-Ukraine war, which that was the one that really stuck out to me, that obviously the war is horrible. And we would like it to go away. We'd like it to end. We'd like, we'd like Russia to stop. But I don't think I have a hard time believing 22% of people are lying in bed at night going, Russia-Ukraine war.
Well, again, I think if they were just saying what news sort of were, like world problems are keeping you up that you might think about sometime.
Yeah, because
in the
it is
evening,
upsetting.
Maybe that's it.
But it's not, I can't imagine you're tossing and turning in bed because it's not, like the truth is for most of us, definitely not for 22% of people, it's not going to have a real direct effect on you. And I can't, maybe some people are so, I don't even know the right word for it, but they're so concerned with the rest of the world that their life is so at peace that they're worrying about the entire rest of the world. But I think, it's got to be more personal stuff. And maybe that's not an option. That's why I guess inflation makes sense. If you're just worried about money, then sure, then that's something that I can see people staying up at night worrying about and not being able to sleep. But the Ukraine-Russia war, COVID-19 still, you're worried about that overnight? Are you trying to sleep? So, okay, how about this? What would you guys trade? What would you give up if you could get a perfect night of sleep?
For a good night's sleep?
Yeah, where you could just wake up in the morning feeling 100% perfect.
Clearly not much for me because if I wanted a good night of sleep, I would just go to bed earlier.
I know.
But I can't even give up watching one more episode of a show, so almost nothing, clearly.
I agree with that.
That reminds me, we put a pin in this. We got to check in on how your weekend alone went.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Was there anything about it?
Wait, you got to put a pin in it.
I know, but
we're in the middle of a segment. He goes, actually, in about a half an hour, remember this.
But what if there was nothing? Can you just tell us, is there anything?
I mean, it was just a normal weekend for me. I had a grand time. I hung out with my friends. I slept some. Last night, I got like an okay night of sleep. I didn't get that much sleep last night, unfortunately.
Because your roommate wasn't keeping you awake?
No, he wasn't keeping me up, but I still went to bed super late. Why? No reason. Because I wanted to stay up later, I guess, and have a terrible day today.
They say 1 in 3 Americans, so 28%, would give up seeing friends in exchange for like having an actual good night's sleep. They say that sometimes pet owners, you wouldn't let your dog or cat sleep in the bed with you because sometimes that can lead to bad sleep as well. You would give up your phone because that also usually is the big culprit for not having a good night's sleep. So we know what it is.
Yeah, these are the answers, and it's accurate that less than a third of people are actually willing to give up anything that is causing their poor night of sleep, their lack of sleep. It's your own fault.
Yeah, we're not surprised about that.
Yeah, Don't blame inflation. It's you on your phone.
This is The Riot. Radio U.
Let me see. Let me just go in the order that makes sense instead of letting you pick.
Thank you, Hudson. That was so sweet of you.
Let's start with some bad news.
Okay.
The bad news is there are some people out there, try as they might, wanting to lose weight, maybe even considered to be obese, so, to the point where doctors are getting involved in them losing weight. There are some people out there, this is bad news, that are diet resistant.
Like their body is, or emotionally we're diet resistant?
You know what? I don't know if I can say on that. I don't want to cast any aspersions. So that's you just do you in that regard. Now here's the good news though, because that would seem like a crushing blow. This study here and what these doctors have found at the University of Ottawa in Canada is that, the typical, if somebody is obese and they go see a doctor and what the doctor is going to tell them is you need to go on a low calorie diet. That is what they prescribe. But some people are diet resistant and aren't able to do that. So now here's the good news. The University of Ottawa has found what to do if you are one of those diet resistant folks. Here's the bad news. It's exercise.
No!
Yeah!
Because what if you're exercise resistant?
Yeah, can you be diet and exercise resistant? The double whammy.
I need you to find one more study to fix if we are both resistant to all of those things.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is.
Okay, so they're saying
point.
if you can't eat right, you at least have to exercise.
Yes.
That's it.
Which isn't exactly groundbreaking, but they put it in a more scientific way of like, there is something to that. I mean, again, I don't know what they chalk it up to, but diet resistance is a real thing where some people just can't do it. And they seem to say that some people just don't respond, even if they are sticking to their low calorie diet.
Sure.
They're still not seeing the results that you would expect. And that is because something about their body is not responding to a low-calorie diet. However, they found that doing exercise improves the skeletal muscle metabolism, so it enhances an obese person's weight loss capacity if they are diet resistant. So even then, it sounds like maybe just the low-calorie diet is what you would start with. Then if that's not working, you go to the exercise and the low-calorie diet, because the exercise should loosen up your body to be more, accepting of the low-calorie diet and see better results.
Listen, just be better prepared. If your doctor says something, you can say, I have DR. And then you'd be like, what's DR? You're like, I'm diet resistant.
Diet resistant, and you haven't heard?
If you need to throw out ER, which is not where you're going, it's just exercise resistant, then you could also say that too.
I have, yes,
it sounds
I'm
medical.
Just very defiant is actually the diagnosis that I've been given before.
There you go.
That I resist basically everything that a doctor tells me to do. So it's not exactly the great news that if you are feeling like you need to lose weight and the diets just aren't working for you, that instead you have to exercise. And I don't know which, I guess I find it easier.
Worse?
Yeah, what is worse? What would you say?
Sometimes I think the exercise is worse because that takes up time.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking.
If you're on a diet, yeah, right, you're just sad about it. But, at least it's not adding any extra.
It depends on what diet you're on, though.
True.
Because I'm thinking, right now, I'm kind of doing what essentially amounts to intermittent fasting. And that doesn't take any time because it's literally me not eating. But if you're on
gaining time.
Right. If I'm on, that's exactly. But if you're on, for example, keto, which I've done, the keto diet, that's a lot of meal planning, and you have to cook almost everything. Are you doing keto?
No, I'm just doing low carb.
Yeah. So, but still, you have to.
You're right. It is work.
It's a lot of planning and a lot of cooking and stuff. And so, granted, that's still probably easier than exercising. But if all you needed to do is exercise versus eat right, I think, it depends on how long you have to exercise. I think it's easier to talk yourself into that. Especially if you could eat whatever you want.
Yeah, it's a mess no matter what you choose.
Yeah,
right?
You're never going to be the weight you want to be. You're never going to look the way you want to look. Just accept it.
Thank you, Dr. Hudson.
Yes, thank you.
Hudson, Nikki, The Riot on Radio U.
And we have a new study here from Psychology Today. It's not exactly great news. It says that single men are the loneliest they've been in generations.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well,
Isaiah,
that's a sad topic.
As the singlest man here, are you the loneliest you've been, or?
No, I don't feel very lonely. I feel okay.
You feel good?
I feel grand.
I think it's different because you have a lot of friends. I think that helps buffer it. But if you are single and you also don't have as many friends, then maybe it is a harder time.
Yeah, it's a tough time. Apparently, especially a tough time for dudes to be out dating. But I guess for Isaiah, for you, for people with the good attitude, that's a good sign, because a lot of people are feeling down on themselves maybe a little bit. You can use that to your advantage. You'll stick out
when they're down bad. I'm just living life.
But here's part of why they say, really what it's coming down to is it's the singleness of it's really hard for guys to get dates compared to at least how it seems like it used to be.
Sure.
Because so much of dating now is done through dating apps. But here's the thing. 62% of users on dating apps are dudes.
Oh, so you have just a less chance.
So there's a big gap. Yeah, there's almost 2 guys for every gal on the dating apps, which means that obviously there's going to be a lot of unhappy, undating guys out there. And so that's making them feel a little extra lonely. Here's what I think. I think part of that maybe is finally here in the year 2022, as a man, I feel that women are finally starting to know their worth. They're finally starting to see that, they don't have to put up with some loser, some bozo. They can hold
That's not
out.
you, Isaiah.
There's
Clearly not.
There's a whole other sea of men out there on these dating apps. There's plenty to choose from. So if I don't like this guy, he doesn't treat me right, I'll go on to the next one. Exactly.
Well, this says that there's so many choices for women, so they're more likely to ghost, a guy. I think that might be opposite. I still think guys guys will still, I guess maybe it's wrong to think one or the other. I think it's an equal opportunity opportunity ghosting time.
Yeah.
But they say that women are looking for someone who is emotionally available, a good communicator, and you share similar values.
Well, we've heard from the woman. We've heard from the non-single man. Let's hear from Isaiah a little bit.
See, I think men's lack of success on dating apps is because they go into it like thinking the wrong thing. Like obviously, like the commodity like seems as if it's like the woman. You know, there's less of them on the dating apps in general. But like, you have to value yourself. So like, if you're going on a dating app, like, oh my gosh, I have to win her over. Yeah. Like you have to be the one that's like, why am I winning her over? Why is she not trying to win me over? Why am I going on a date with this girl? And like, it feels like every time you get on a dating app, like that you're the one like having to like work to win her over to go on a date. But I think you have to go into it with more of an open mind. Like, it's just a conversation. So I was like, number one, you shouldn't feel lonely because you're single. Just go make friends. I know. I mean, it sounds like
don't
really
pressure
hard.
people with that.
I know, but just go make friends. Go out and just make friends.
You need a friend app to make friends.
That should be the next thing.
Well,
I'm sure there is one.
It's also very hard to make friends when you're off-putting.
When you're off-putting?
Yeah, that's what I've found in my personal experience.
Do you think you're off-putting? Yeah. You're not off-putting. But I feel like, too...
I don't have friends.
You have friends, okay? When you... and also, like the loneliest thing ever, I think it also is due to, like, social media stuff, too, because, like, before, when social media wasn't as big, like, you didn't see people, like, posting their boyfriend and girlfriend every single day on there. And so if you get on, like, Instagram or Twitter and you just scroll through and you're like, dang... I wish I had a girlfriend.
You want one
All my friends have a girlfriend.
It does make it tough.
And it's kind of hard coming off the whole, like, everybody was just using each other to get free dinners. Like, it's hard to find actual friends or a special someone.
But it's hard. It's also, let's tell you one more reason why it's hard. Because, as we just mentioned, there's men almost outnumber women 2-1 on the dating apps. So that would trigger your mindset to be, like Isaiah mentioned, you've got to win the gal over. Like if you've got somebody on, you've got somebody in the messages, you can't let that go. You shouldn't be ghosting. But at the same time, that's a great way to get yourself into a relationship that you're not actually happy with because you think, oh, there's not a lot of other choices out there. I finally got somebody that likes me. I need to hang on. And sometimes that actually can work out, but not necessarily. That's also
you got to be the commodity. Really every single guy's doing the same thing. They're trying to win her over. And if you just act like every other guy, then you're not going to get on the date.
That's
So what we're saying is love ourselves first.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Value yourself.
And then you'll be a lot less lonely.
And someone will come along.
And remember, you don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com. Keep that in mind as well. It's right in this jingle.
Is it right there?
It's in the jingle. It's right in front of you. Maybe that's the app you should be using.
You're really a big help.
Farmers Only is the go-to.
They had they knew something when they came up with that song. They knew how people were feeling.
Thanks for watching the worst of the riot. Since you made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, and check out riot.radiou.com for even more riot.